Vine rolled in her chair once before she happily jumped off it. Having finished her target of this hour, her curly hair bounced in excitement as she happily skipped down the hall to get herself and her boss a cup of coffee. She saw how everyone was busy on their desks and offices. It was a huge, busy week. An important event was coming, and everyone had to work extra around these hours. For all she knew, her boss was doing the most work, coming early and going home late after midnight. Wine entered Jungkook's spacious office, a tray of coffee in her hand, interrupting his stream of emails. She walked up to him and placed it in front of him on the table and cleared her throat once. Jungkook's eyes shifted on the tray once, then to Wyan. His stressful expressions calmed a little. The frown lines on his forehead disappeared as he received his daily dose of serotonin boost, which was Wyan. Jungkook, thank you, Miss Wyan. Wyan did a happy bow, and then, as she was about to pour the cup of coffee, Jungkook also extended his hand to grab the cup. His fingers wrapped themselves around her, all on accident, yet, like a romantic scene in a movie he would call cringe, he felt a spark waking inside of him. He removed his hand and she pours him the coffee. The little change in her moves told him she felt the same. He curled his fingers, resisting the urge to play with her hair. As Wine pulled up a chair to sit beside him and served him with the coffee, he clearly noticed the difference in atmosphere. It felt much warmer and breathable now that she was around. Wine, you know, little birdie told me that even the most successful businessmen need a break. She took a sip and the little cream got on top of her lips, earning a chuckle from him. Jungkook, and who might be this little wise birdie? Wyan, just someone who cares about your sanity, sir. She extended her cup. Wyan, okay, cheers. Jungkook hesitated but clicked his cup against hers, while he questioned himself how easily he let his guard down in her case, how she catches his attention, and how he could stare at her for hours and never get tired. Jungkook, cheers. She sipped her coffee happily. Jungkook did the same. No one said anything anymore, but this was the kind of silence he found comfort in, till they were done with the coffee and returned back to their work. It had been a week. The event took place and it had been a success for the company. For the very reason Jungkook had announced a 3-day off for the employees, who did a lot of work behind the event. Vine happily skipped towards him when he was returning to his office after announcing the break. Vine, I think we deserve a celebration. How about a dinner? Jungkook, you want a dinner? Vine, yep. As a secretary, I deserve special treatment, she said as she flipped her hair cutely, skipping on steps to match his pace. Jungkook swore she was the only one who was so easy and fearless around him. As he looked at her smile again, who was he to reject her? Jungkook, let me grab my things. Jungkook later on took Wine for a dinner to a luxurious restaurant. She praised and looked a few pictures with the sparkly eyes Jungkook could never get tired of. She somehow ended up drinking a lot. To the point she was a little tipsy by the end of the night. Now they were out of the restaurant. Jungkook admitted he couldn't celebrate the success in any way better than this. They walked down the road. She stumbled a few times, and that's why Jungkook stayed close to her to avoid her from falling. She suddenly linked her arm with his and threw her other arm in the air, leaning all her weight against him. Ryan, 3 day off. I'll watch my Netflix. Yay! Jungkook, are you that excited about it? He chuckled as he looked down at her due to his tall frame. Ryan, I left my series midway for you. You should be very honored. She pointed a finger at him with a cute, angry glare, which melted his heart at the spot. Jungkook, of course, I must have saved the world in my previous life to be honored by this. Ryan, if he doesn't reply like this, I don't want him. She said out loud without realizing, and Jungkook continued to be dragged around by her. Ryan, sir, she called him as she suddenly stopped under a streetlight. She looked up at him with a red nose and red cheeks, a scarf around her neck as she kept holding his arm for support. Jungkook, yes. Ryan, let's dance. Jungkook, now? She nodded and took both of his hands, leading him into a dance before placing them on her waist. Jungkook, in that moment, was captivated by her, like he wasn't the other times. He took the lead, and a lot of times, like this one, he realized life wasn't all about work. She was the only reason behind his smiles and peace in life. As they continued to dance slowly under the streetlight, she yawned cutely, which cracked the ice on his heart a little more. The next moment, Jungkook had his lips on her. Her eyes widened up, and so did his. The next moment, when he pulled away, he didn't realize when he pulled that move. He never knew when he was leaning into it until it was already done. Jungkook, I'm sorry. He stopped when she pulled him in for a kiss, which was not an accident this time. He wrapped his arms around her waist and kissed her back without wasting a moment. Vine wrapped her arms around his neck, and she felt herself sobering up from the previous alcohol effect. Her fingers curled against the back of his hair, as she was kissed like never before. Once Jungkook pulled away, it was only a moment before he started to kiss her again. He closed his eyes and so did she. He didn't want to pull back. She was addicted. He would gladly get high on. She was too addicting. He never wanted to stop kissing her. Jungkook, what are you doing to me? He asked as he rested his head against her. Jungkook, why? All I want is you. In my mind, in my thoughts, in front of my eyes, and in my entire life. She curled her feet and slid her hand down to his shirt, holding it tightly. Why? Is it okay to accept that I feel the same about you? He held her chin and made her look up at him. Jungkook, say that again. Ryan, I feel the same for you, sir. I want to be with you. You stay in my mind all the time, and all I want to have is your attention on me and no one else. Jungkook, then be mine, Ryan. Be my lady, and I'll give you everything you have always dreamed of. The two kissed again, and Jungkook pulled her even close to him, finally getting the lady who kept him awake at nights. He couldn't stop kissing her. How many times he had wondered how she would feel in his arms, and he finally got to have a taste of it. He swore in that moment he was going to bring her every happiness she deserved. Jungkook, never leave me. With one last kiss, he pulled away so Wine rested her head against his chest, feeling all warm and fuzzy in his protective embrace. Wine, you too. I have waited a lot for this. She closed her eyes and Jungkook left a kiss on her head, stealing a promise which was never spoken out loud, but felt with hers.